Hey there, welcome to Contracts and Chaos. My name's Alyssa.
And I'm Brenna, and we're here to tell you that you are not alone in the mayhem of this real estate industry.
We're keeping it real and sharing our stories, strategies, and successes in today's real estate world.
So come join us every Tuesday while we talk contracts and chaos. See, this is why this is just like filling out like a biography, like a short bio on socials.
Isn't that
I'm not good at it. I don't want to talk about myself.
I could talk about you, what I know about you, and you
about...
could talk about what you know about me. That would be an interesting way to do this, actually.
That would be funny. It would be like a what are they, like a parody almost,
like an SNL skit. This is how I see Brenna. I don't know if this is who she really is, but
that's funny. I can't believe it's been over a year now since we did a Who We Are, and our original Who We Are is quite funny.
Well, and part of it is just like we were figuring out setups and technology, and so like sound quality was not there for us at that point.
And we were brand new baby podcasters and had no idea what to talk about.
Right? Yes.
But now I think we have enough people that listen on a regular basis that are like, actually, who the fudge are these people?
Right. And why should we listen to them? Why? Like, are they credible? I mean, there's lots of people on TikTok who wear scrubs. Doesn't mean they're a doctor.
That's true. That is so true. Sometimes I'm like, am I credible? Like, is this right? Oh, well. But today, guys, we are doing a new Who We Are, which is kind of just going to be like an introduction to Brenna and Alyssa.
Yes.
Because it's been over a year. And honestly, I don't know if you've listened to that episode recently. A lot has changed in a year, you know?
I probably should have listened to it before we recorded this, but I have not.
It's just, I'm like, wow, what a lot has changed. Like, we were freshly with Real at that point. You were on a team. Like, there was transition things happening. I was hoping for like 15 closings. I had like 24 last year. Like, things have changed. So I think it's time for a refresh. So
yeah,
we'll keep it. I mean, I don't feel like people want our whole autobiography, but we'll go short and sweet. And
yes, we'll try to keep this one under 30. Where are we at right now? We're at 2.5. So
yeah, we got this. Okay, you start.
All right. So my name's Alyssa. Yay, Alyssa.
Hi, Alyssa. Is that like those meetings?
Right. This feels like a meeting all of a sudden.
Hi, Alyssa.
I just finished my 4th year in real estate. And yeah, because I got my license in September of 2020, but didn't start practicing until November. And I originally hail from New York, not the downstate part, so I don't always have that funny accent. You'll hear it every once in a while. I'm from like Canadian border of New York, so you'll probably hear me say "a." It's just me, the cat, and the dog right now. You've all definitely seen or heard Roxanne, or heard us refer to her in our episodes because she literally is standing on my desk right now as I record this.
She makes her weekly appearance across the screen.
Yes, she is a riot. I don't know, like I used to do CrossFit.
You rescued Mabel.
I did rescue. Well, I rescued Roxanne too, but yes, I rescued Mabel. I'm currently in the process of trying to. I don't want to keep them, but make sure that the stray cats in my backyard are rescued in one way, shape, or form. I like European cars. They're kind of my jam. So I hang out with some car clubs. Used to CrossFit a lot, and mountain bike. I think that's it. This says I'm supposed to say like a fun fact or a quirky anecdote. And like my go-to for icebreakers, because it always weirds people out, is just, I don't know if it's appropriate here. I know someone who was killed by a serial killer.
Oh yeah, no, that's an icebreaker.
Right? Yeah. So that should be in our creepy stories next year.
Did I know that? I don't think I knew that.
I don't know if I've told you that story. Yeah, my stepdad's best friend was murdered by a serial killer. It was his wife. It's a whole story.
That is crazy. Yeah, no, I did not know that, so we'll have to get.
Yeah, there's a whole podcast out there about it.
There you go.
So if you want that, go Google Stacey Caster.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I thought your little quirky, what you say is you've said it a bazillion times on this podcast, is like a dream without a plan is, or a
A
goal
goal
without a
without
plan is
plan
just a
is just a
dream.
dream.
Yeah. Say that so much.
That or the fuck. What the fuck?
That's good. That's a good one. Oh my god. So that means it's my turn. I am Brenna. I come from Maine originally, so I do have a little bit of an accent compared to the southern people here. But as like more people are transplanting, I fit in a little bit
I was
better
gonna say, I don't even
as the
notice your
years.
accent.
Yeah, as the years have changed and more people live here, like it's less noticeable when I'm at the grocery store, you know? So, I have two dogs. I have an English bulldog and a French bulldog. I've got three horses. I've got two kids, a feral husband, and did you just choke on your water?
Uh-huh.
um, and I have been in real estate now for just over 5 years because I got my license in June of 2019, just before shit hit the fan. COVID. So I didn't realize that I had my license that much longer than you, but it's almost a full.
Yeah, it's
It
almost a
might be
full
just
year.
about a full year. Yep, longer than you. But that's where I'm at in real estate. So my fun fact is I come from a family of 11.
Yeah,
I
you
am
do.
Yeah, I'm number 5 out of 11.
Right
There is
smack in the
6
middle.
girls and 5 boys, and yes, my family is crazy.
They're good crazy.
Good
Yeah.
crazy, crazy crazy. You know, like I don't know what I'd do without them. Like I meet only children and things and I'm like, wow, like who do you talk to, right? Like I
My
have
mom.
backups on backup. Like if I can't get in touch with one sibling, there's 8 more I can call, kind of thing. But also there's days where I'm just like, oh my god, there's too many. There's too many. But
Especially
as an adult,
like at
at
Christmas, do you guys Oh, they don't do Christmas, do they?
a lot of so as my siblings have like adulted, all of them do
Okay.
Christmas now because that's one thing that we didn't do growing up.
So do you have
So
to
it's
buy
all
gifts for
like
everyone, or you
freshly
guys
new.
have like a game or something to like limit
Yeah, so we
costs?
do like our uh, growing up, our version of Christmas was on New Year's Eve, and we did like gift swaps there. So we still do that as like the siblings,
Okay.
but individually we have Christmas with
Okay.
like our
Yeah,
kids.
because like my mom comes from a family of 5. And so eventually, like when we were young, we would buy gifts for everyone. And then finally the
Hmm.
moms were like, this is ridiculous. Pick a
This
name.
is a lot. Yeah,
Or like we would
exactly.
do like an elephant swap, whatever it's called.
Yep, the white elephant.
Yeah.
Those are so fun. The white elephant,
Yeah.
and we've done the like draw a name out of the hat, like Secret Santa
Yeah.
style. I love that too.
We when we did the white elephants, my grandma used to make the stuff apple butter, and it's like gold in
Mm,
our family. And she would give
it's
you
so
random
good.
stuff. Like you'd open a gift from her and be a picnic basket. Like, oh, thanks.
Great.
And then you would open it and there would be apple butter hidden inside. And so you had to like lock it down,
Hide
not
it.
show any emotion. And
Poker
then, yes,
face.
because as soon as people knew there was apple butter, that was the
They
gift
were
to
coming
steal.
for you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So what
those are the
made
good
you
ones.
get into real estate? I don't think we've ever discussed like, I know what you did before, but what was your why? Like, what made you make this decision? Oh, God.
So God. So my auntie Kim, and she's not my aunt by blood. She's my mom's best friend, so she's my aunt. She's been in real estate since I was, God, I think 12. And she's a realtor in Boston, Massachusetts. So if you're looking for somebody there, that's your hookup. But she was in real estate for a long time. She's actually still with KW, which is why like I was like I'm going to KW when I got my license. But I always thought it was so interesting. She would like post pictures of these houses that she was touring, and just like this is so cool, right? I loved HGTV. What's the run of it? It's gone now, but there used to be a Ty Pennington show where they did Extreme Home Makeover.
Oh, yeah.
Loved that show. Anyways, I looked into it. When I turned 18 in Maine. Maine real estate, I think, is a little bit different than North
Totally.
Carolina. So I was like, there's really not a lot going on here, kind of thing. And I ended up instead getting my EMT's license and going the medical route. But then I got pregnant with Violet and that stopped. And then I started bartending and waitressing. And then we moved here. Our realtor We went through like 3 of them. Our realtor was great at the end. I was like, that's a cool job, you know? My brother-in-law bought a house a year after we moved here, and we were driving to his house to go see it for the first time, and Travis is like, "Why don't you get your real estate license?" And I was like, I don't know, never really looked into it since I was 17 or 18.
Right.
And he's like, "I bet you could get your real estate license here and do really well." And I was like, I mean, I'll look at it. And the next day I had signed up for an in-person class in Huntersville, and the end. It's Travis's fault.
It's Travis's
It
fault.
was his
Blame it
idea.
all on Travis.
It is. The bad days I do. I'm like, I'm doing this because this is your fault. And then there's days when I'm like, oh my God, thanks for this.
Right?
Thank you.
Right? Like, you mean like when you bought the new truck this week?
Right. When I had keys for a new car, I was like, thanks, babe. This was such a good idea. Yeah. Yeah, but no, it was much like everything. If you know me in real life, you know that's exactly how I am. He's like, why haven't you done this? I'm like, oh my God, that's a good idea. Let's do that. Right. And then it's done. Oh, well, I mean, 90 hours later it was done.
90 hours and then some post-licensing and then,
right.
like a year
Lots
or two to make
of
it
studying
come together.
Yes. But there was no like, oh, I've always wanted to do it. I mean, I've had experience with it growing up, but I'd never been like, I'm going to be a realtor.
Right.
It just happened. And I like it. So that's good.
Yeah, if you like it.
And you came from corporate.
I did.
World. I think you, if I remember correctly, you were just sick of that shenanigans.
I never, like, growing up was like, I want to be this. I never had that. And so when it was time to pick.
Alyssa, I still don't have that. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
This is where I want to be. I'm doing what I want to do. But, like, so when it came time to, like, pick a major or even college, I was like, I don't fucking know. I don't. I picked a college because I had a friend there, but I didn't want a college with, like, everyone from high school because I hated high school. And then I picked a degree because it was the family business. So I have a degree in criminal justice and realized I don't want to be a cop. And then it was 2007 and the economy tanked the next year. And I was like, well, I'm not putting another $100,000 into law school. So I was bartending with a 4-year degree and got a job as like a paralegal for a while. Got my paralegal certificate to see if I wanted law school or not. Did not want law school. And I got lucky. I was bartending part-time and this dude walked in and was like, come work for me. I'll double your income overnight. And he did. And it was phenomenal for the first 5 years. Not even the first 5. For the first, I think it was 3 before I picked up and moved to North Carolina. I loved what I did in New York. Loved those guys. They are still some of my biggest cheerleaders to this day. And then when I got here, I got wrapped up in more the corporate side of that business. And it was awful and it was hell. And I literally it was December of 2019. I called my mom in tears. I was sitting, I can take a picture and show you exactly where I was sitting, in the corner of my kitchen on the counter. And I just called her sobbing. And I was like, I have the house, I have the car, I have the almost 6-figure salary, and I hate my life. I can't go see my nephew when I want to. I feel like if something were to happen, I would have to ask to go see my parent. Like, I hate this. I don't get to take vacations because God forbid. And like, I had a horrible boss. And so she told me, she was like, I never told you had to follow a certain path. Why do you feel like you have to be here? And I was like, because I felt the pressure to have a career. And she was like, I never said that. And I'm sorry if I made you feel that way. And so we had a heart to heart. And she said, you need to figure out what you want your life to look like and engineer it backwards to figure out what job fills that role. And I knew I wanted to set my own schedule. I am not someone that wants to sit in rush hour and go to an office. I wanted to know the harder I worked, the more money I made. And I wanted to not have to go back to college. I was not spending more money on university. So I had previously worked as a legal assistant in real estate law, and I really loved real estate law. Like, I love, if this doesn't work, I would go work for a title company and dig through abstracts. Like, I loved it. And so I said, all right, well, real estate school is only like $1,000. Let's do this. And I started it before COVID. I started real estate school February of 2020, not knowing what was coming. And long story short, I quit my job March of 2020 because I just said I can't do this. I took my bonus, I took my tax return, and I walked out that door. And here I am.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
so I've been rebuilding for 4 years because I literally got to a point one week where I had 11 cents in my bank account.
I put my real estate school on a credit card, a maxed out credit card, because when we moved down here, we had like all these big plans. When we moved from Maine, my mother in law had a restaurant. My husband had a really successful diesel garage. Like we were coming down. She was starting a food truck, and he was building a garage. Like that's how that worked. We bought a piece of commercial property. Like this was all these big plans, moving down here, and we got here. We packed up and left December 7th, 2017 from Maine. We were supposed to be in our new house before Christmas.
Mm.
And we got here and we got a modular house. For everybody out there, don't get a modular house. Okay? I didn't know. We didn't know, but
Yeah.
don't do it. But our house hadn't even been ordered yet. So,
And they didn't tell you? And they
no.
knew you were
So
coming?
yeah. We had no like we had already sold the businesses in Maine. We'd like there was nothing left. My like we had nothing left. So we ended up living with my sister-in-law for 4 months. She already lived here. They had a big beautiful house with like a big finished space over the garage, which was wonderful because we kind of just took over that space for a few months. And then my mother-in-law's house was finished first. We moved in with her for 2 months, and then ours we finally moved in July
Of
of 2018.
Oh my God. And you had two
Yeah.
kids.
And and the girls were small at that time. Violet had just turned 4 and Maddie was 2. Yeah,
Oh.
so it was a cluster, and we didn't end up building the garage at all. He has a shop here at the house that he does some work on, but he ended up like changing gears. He got it into forestry mulching, the dirt work stuff, like all of that. But like I lived off my credit cards for a hot minute.
Oh yeah.
Groceries, daycare, like those kinds of things. So I did. I put real estate on that last little bit
Yep.
of credit card that I had, and
Oh yeah, I drained my retirement.
yes,
Yep, I
God.
literally because I remember saying when my dad questioned me, especially like as COVID, we were in the thick of it, and he was like, "Girl," and I was like, "I will work 18 part-time jobs if I have to never go back to an office, and I'll stand by that. I will if I have to go get a bartending job or something when it's slow, I will. I will not go back to corporate America.
Mhm.
I don't. It's never gonna
But I
happen.
totally feel that like digging from the trenches, because I know that there's some kids that like they get into real estate right out of high school because their mom and dad are realtors, and like they're just like all set up for no, honey. Like I wasn't sure how I was going to pay those
Yeah."
NAR dues when I got licensed, and I was like, oh, there's more money.
Yeah, right? I
Oh,
remember
wait.
praying, like hitting the button, being like, please let there be enough money
Please,
for my dues to go
please go
through.
through.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? You say high school. My mom had been dropping hints since high school that
That's
I should go into real
hilarious.
estate. And I was like, no, I have no interest. Why would I? But I also, and this is not knocking my parents, but I felt like in high school, I never had even a guidance counselor sit me down and walk me through what the possibilities were, how to
Mm-hmm.
get different things. Like, how does that work? I think that's a huge element missing in our education system. And maybe it's a parental thing that should be happening. I don't know, but maybe that'll be my next thing is like some type of something counseling for teenagers to figure out what they would excel at. Because I remember my dad's guidance counselor when he asked him, "What do you like to do?" My dad was like, "I like to be in the woods and like to cut wood." So he sent him to forestry school. My dad's never worked in forestry a day in his life. He works in emergency management and homeland
Yeah,
security.
it's
So
very different.
there's got like I feel like our country would be so much better. This is not political, but if we had something like that to help kids,
Mm-hmm.
and granted, you can change your mind, but maybe give them a little more guidance at the start so that we're not wandering for
And
20
like
years.
just support the little dreams, the little sparkles that they have.
Yeah,
Violet's ran her own successful business now for 3 years. Child has more in her little savings account than I did till
right.
I was 16. Maddie wants to be a masseuse. She wants to have her own spa, and she wants to be the boss.
Yeah,
And Violet wants to run a food truck.
Hey, if
Okay,
that's,
sure.
I mean, and
Let's rock and roll.
she's
And if they
learning
get
from
there and they
someone like
hate it,
on the job, so she's
right.
going to have the skill set. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, and if they get there and they hate it and they change just like us, like
Right.
life doesn't end when you realize that you are not a
Mm-mm.
good fit for what you thought you wanted to do.
No, and life doesn't end when you spent $70,000 on degrees and you don't work in that field.
Mm-hmm. Because listen, life is too short to be miserable. So if you can, I feel like so many people like, oh, I did spend 4, 6, 8 years going to college
Yes.
for this career. Now I have to do this.
Yep.
Why? Life is so short.
And you know what? That's funny. That was part of
Start the band,
part of my decision. My dad has been a miserable person, and all because of work for 40 years.
My dad hates his job.
And I remember like in that conversation with my mom, literally saying, "I don't want to be like Dad. I don't want to be like this. This is not what life is supposed to be like." So okay. So how?
Moving on. Brighter topics now.
How did we meet?
Oh my God.
We met online, the good old fashioned internet.
Through a dating site. No, just kidding. It practically was. So we were actually both in the Girls with Grit community.
Yes.
At that point, it was a brand new Facebook group. I think they're like 25,000 people strong now. I was one of the first 400 members of that group. So we've been there since the OGs. But we actually met because of the Grit Iron Challenge. They ran a 90-day challenge from like September. It was September through December. It was like that last 90-day hustle kind of thing. And they broke us out into teams. I don't even remember whose team we were on. Honestly, I forgot. But we were in the same group, in the same team. And I just remember we had like this little group chat, and Alyssa's like my first interaction with Alyssa, she was like, you guys, I did this thing. And she's just like, I'm ready. I'm changing things. I'm ready to go for it. She sends a picture and she like pixie cut, chopped her hair off. Yeah. And then like a few days later, you ended up dyeing it purple. And I'm like, wow, look at this rock star go. And then I go to her Facebook page, and this woman had like Rapunzel hair, you know?
It was literally long, at my waist the day I cut it off.
Beautiful hair. And I was like, oh my God, like she committed. She went, whatever she's going through, she is ready for some change.
I wasn't going through anything, for the record.
Okay.
I did a fundraiser for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And I told everyone who was donating, if my team raises $5,000, I will cut my hair off and donate it to make wigs for kids with cancer. And that's what I did.
I love that. So I knew that story. We've talked about this before.
So for the record, it was not a breakup haircut. But I do keep coming back to short, which is funny.
You do.
I
like it. I really do.
I don't mind this length. I didn't like the length 3 weeks ago, but I don't mind this length.
It's okay.
It's coming.
But no, that's how we met. And it was kind of like an accountability group that we were in. And then we realized that, because this was girls from all over the country. Right, yeah. And then we realized that we were much closer to each other than any of the other people in our group. We got coffee. We went to a couple of local we did a Larry Lauder training together.
I think Larry's photo shoot was the first time we met in person.
We met.
Yeah. And then I organized that lunch, and so that's how, and it's been a fairy tale ever since.
Yeah, exactly.
And now we're both at Real, and we have a podcast.
We have so much has changed. Isn't that crazy? But I mean,
yes, yeah, and I love that.
That's so funny.
And it's more than business too. Like we talk about.
Yeah, I would say we're close. Like, and that's the cool thing too. Like, it's become a friendship, not like an acquaintance,
right?
Because you meet a lot of people in this business, but you can't say that.
Right. I have a lot of acquaintances.
Something deep happened this week.
Right. Like,
so here's the tea.
You and Aaron are the people I go deep with. Like I can talk to you guys about. You two are the first two people, even before my mother, that got a picture of my Christmas tree. Because I knew what y'all. So I knew y'all would be like, what? Oh, so something's happening over there.
Oh, that's funny.
Yes. So,
what personal strengths do you think we each bring to the podcast?
You You are amazing. Your tech skills, I'm still trying to work through this video editor thing.
I just
Um,
YouTubed it. It's
I know,
not
and
tech
that's what I
skills.
need to do. And that's so, like, for instance, Brenna does all of our editing. I do like figure out like we'll talk about topics together, but I go through that and write our outlines and things like that. And sometimes it's ChatGPT, sometimes it's like, nope, this is what I know we need to talk about.
Mhm.
But you figured out all the technology, because when we were trying to do that together, I got very overwhelmed. And I was like, I don't know. This website says this website says that. I I don't know. I don't know. I can't make that which is me in real life. If you've ever met me, I'm like, no. Like, it took me a year to figure out what car I wanted to buy, because I was like,
Mhm.
and you know how I figured it out? I drove someone else's car and was like, oh, I like this.
Mhm.
So you bring that. You've got that all on lock. Um, and I'm so thankful for that, because it does overwhelm me and it's hard for me to focus on those things sometimes. I'm trying. I'm working through it. And I like pulled our Trello together, building that out,
It's beautiful.
because and that's I am in a slow season right now, and I'm like, okay, well, while I'm not running to showings every day, let me get more of my S together.
Mhm.
And that's the one of the next things, like, okay, I need to block some time and just sit down and figure out how to do some of this editing so I can help Brenna.
Mhm. Well, and that's so funny that you say that too, because I feel like you're the structure to my chaos. Because when the first few, we're like, we're going to talk about this. And like, we sit down and we squirrel, ramble, because I am just, yeah, all over the place. So I love that you're like, no, listen, we can have a guideline. We don't need like notes, like you're going to read this off the paper, but
Right.
here is what we need to talk about today. And I'm like, oh, all right, fine. That's fine. I can follow that.
Well, because if
And
we didn't, I would also squirrel and be like, oh,
mhm,
we were going to talk about ChatGPT today, but I don't know how we got on ponies. Sorry,
mhm.
guys.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like I feel like we're so similar, but in different areas. So it's a good. I feel like it's a good balance. You know.
Right. Yeah. We work very well together.
Mhm.
Even when we're on the opposite side of a deal. Like, that was one of my favorite. It was
That was,
easy to
that
that was
was
a mess of a
hilarious.
deal.
I'm so glad it was
But
over,
I
so
was
we could
so
then like
thankful it was
talk
you
crap
on the
about it.
other side. So thank gosh, that's a year ago now.
It was. Uh
Yeah.
huh. That's
We need to
crazy.
drive by that house and see if they've done anything.
I
Whoever investor bought the one on the corner here, tore it down last week. Yeah, it's
really.
gone. I was
Listen, I've
like,
seen
huh.
so many that they buy the house and they tear it down. I think they're just like gonna put spec houses on
Yeah,
it.
I think that's what's gonna, which
But that's
I'm
like an
kind of
expensive piece of land.
excited about for this one, but I'm wondering what it's gonna look like. Like,
Hmm.
I hope it match. Like, we're all mill houses, so can we
Right.
match that, or are we gonna try and throw this ugly modern thing here? I'll be moving out of the neighborhood if they try to do that. But anyway, um,
See, there we go. Squirrel.
what
All right. So what's the future look like for us?
our future is going to be far more organized. So we have discussed things like a quarterly book review. We're going to pick a book
Yeah.
each quarter. I think we should announce it like at the beginning of the quarter, review at the end of the quarter. So if you
Mm-hmm.
want to read it with us, you guys know what we're going to talk about. If you don't and you're like, I'd rather hear your review before I buy it, cool, that's fine.
Great. Mm-hmm.
Um, we are starting a list of people we want to interview and trying to get them scheduled. So we're going to try to do at least an interview a quarter, if not a little more.
Yep.
Um, what else are we doing? I don't remember. I'm like looking
We
around for
got
clues in my office. I think those
for
are the two,
clues.
right? Those are the two big things we've discussed is like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
we want to set this, we want to make sure that those are at least the two structured things for sure that we're going to do moving into 2025.
Yep. Yep. And I think this year, and we talked about it a little bit, like throwing in more client facing episodes too,
Yes.
because we've done a couple that seem to be taken really well. And I know that for there's listeners obviously that aren't realtors, so I think that those little informational ones, like the home inspection ones, were really good.
Yeah.
I think that throwing a couple of the and just keeping, you know, we're say we haven't picked our niche, okay?
No, but I think I'm okay with that.
Mhm.
because like
Me
our
too,
niche is
because
real
that's who I
estate.
am as a person.
Right. And so, yeah, I couldn't pick a niche in clients. Every time I was like, I get it, but that just doesn't work for me. I Our niche is helping. Our niche is information regarding real estate, whether it's building your business or helping a client or whatever.
And keeping it real, because I feel, and this time of year too, like you see so much like success stories and like all the things, but listen, there was a lot of work that got to that, and like, yes, we're happy and we're proud of them too, but sometimes there's like the nitty gritty. Like today I am losing a listing, we're withdrawing a listing today, and that's one of those things, but it's better for the client.
Right.
Is it great for me? No,
Yeah.
but that's
I had that
those are
happen
the
last month.
discussions.
Yeah.
Yeah, but nobody wants to post that on
Nope.
Facebook and be like, hey, I had a listing cancel today.
Yep.
But why not? Because that's real life. Things,
Yeah.
circumstances have
And
changed for that family. Things are different. Like it's not the way that it was when we listed in August. Things are different now. And that can't be something that you hide.
mm-mm.
I feel like that's the problem with those like vanity metrics or in real estate. Like everybody posts all the good stuff. So then when there's people, I mean, you and I have bad days. And when I have a bad day and I'm seeing people like, "Oh, look at this is number 104." And I'm like, "Oh my god."
Well, what
But then you have to
if we're being transparent? You're 24 earlier was like, okay, all right. But then you were like, but I'm a year ahead of you, and I was like, okay, so I'll have 24 next year. Cool.
Yeah, well but
Like,
that's the thing. And we're running completely different races.
yes.
You know, that's the bigger thing. I saw a post on a Facebook group last week that her first year she closed $30 million in volume, and I'm like, "How? And why?"
Huh.
Also, I don't want that,
Right.
you know? And that's the other thing. Like I'm like, "Oh my god, I could like why can't I do that?" And then I sit down and think, I don't want that. Cuz I'd still want to volunteer at the school for Christmas corner, and I want to be at all of the softball
I mean,
practices,
I
and
kind of
I
do want that, but I would be
man, I
leveraging a
don't.
lot.
Yeah.
There would be staff. Like,
Oh yes.
yeah,
Oh yes. Staff. For
staff.
sure. But that's the thing. Like I feel like we keep it very real here too. Be like, listen, we wrote out all these 12-week goals and I hit 3 of them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that kind of
Well,
thing.
so literally when
Um
you said you got 24, I was like, and Alyssa, this is because you never followed your 12-week year, the whole freaking year. You just kind of threw shit at the wall. So, all right, time to crack
listen,
it
the
back down.
12-week year really works.
It
I'm going to
does.
need
Well,
you
and
to focus this year.
we've discussed that before. Like, when I stick to it, that's how I got to where I got
Mhm.
last year. This
Mhm.
year, I got a little cocky and like was like, "Whoo, got this." No, I'm. So that's the other thing I've been working on is building out my calendar for next year.
Mhm.
And I think I'm gonna get one of those big ass calendars for this wall over here,
Mhm.
so I have a visual. But yeah.
Oh, you can't see it. It's behind the door. I have one
Oh, do you?
behind the door.
Nice,
Mhm.
very nice. Yeah, I think actually it'll be behind my office door too. Um, because these boards are great, but I need so
A bigger picture.
yeah, and I need to sit down and figure out what my systems are. What tools am I using and dedicating to? Because I want the 24. I mean, I was not going to hit 24 this year, but if I'd had the 5 that canceled, I would have been damn close.
Mhm.
So, um, but yeah,
And
anyway.
that's the thing. And this is the time of year, and I'll just say this last thing wrapping up too. Like, this is the time of year that so many people take their foot off the gas because they're like, oh, the holidays and Christmas. But listen, we have less than 4 weeks to the end of the year. And then suddenly you're like, oh my God, it's the beginning of the year. We have to start all over. If you just, and I'm not telling you that you still have to work 50, 60, 80 hours a week to make this happen. But if you're consistent in the next 4 weeks towards the end of this year,
Yep.
it's really going to make a huge difference
Yep.
for Q1.
And I think that's what happened in my Q4. I was so busy with transactions Q2 and Q3. I wasn't doing the other things. I let it slide.
It's so when you're busy, it's so hard to continue to do that prospecting and those activities that got you that original business,
Yep.
which is why Emily's fantastic. We
Yes.
love Emily.
Love her.
But yeah, I mean, that's just and I'm bad at it too. Accountability and just discipline
Yep.
to do it.
Yep. So, with
Ugh.
that, I want to thank everyone first off. Like, our audience is not massive. It will be one day. But for those of y'all who have been here for this first year, thank you. For those of you who have encouraged us to keep going, who have given us episode ideas. I got a text message from my friend Meg this morning that was like, "Oh my god, you crack me up. I have to go glitter paint 22 champagne bottles." And I was like, "What are you talking about?"
And she was
She's like, "I
listening to the
listened to today's episode. It
podcast.
wasn't even 8 a.m." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Like,
Nice.
thank you. Thank you for listening. If you think we're full of bullshit, let us know. If you have ideas, let us know. Because there are times where we're like, what are we going to talk about this week or next week? Like,
sometimes we sit down and we come up with 3 months worth of ideas, and other times we're like, what are we talking about tomorrow at like 9 p.m. the night before?
And I'm like, oh, yeah. It's in my notes, but I just haven't put it in the software that we use to share that note. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Or
But
there's
no,
times
we definitely
where things, schedules conflict, and it's 5 minutes before we record where I'm like, hey, Chat GPT, I need a new episode for today.
Yeah, right. Help us. Help give us some fluff. But yeah, so we do appreciate everybody that continues to listen every week, and the numbers just continue to increase. So I mean, we started when our first week, I think we had 6 downloads on our first
and
episode.
it was probably us on each platform.
Right, exactly. But no, speaking of platforms, you can find us anywhere you listen to your podcast. So
yes,
Spotify, Apple, all of them. And wherever you listen, if you would subscribe, rate, whatever you're able to do on that platform, it really makes a big difference to how we get ranked and how more people get to find us. And yeah, we love that because we're showing up every week, and we'd love you guys to keep showing up with us.
Yes, and share us with your friends, with your family. If people in the industry, we'd love to have them join us. Or if you even have ideas of people you want us to talk to, send them our way. I'm going after a big fish soon. I'm going to send an email, see if I can get this superstar. I don't think it will happen, but I'm going to try. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's right. And with that, we'll see you guys next week.
We'll see you next week.
We just finished another episode of Contracts and Chaos, but believe me, the chaos does not stop here. So check out the show notes for our email address and where to follow us on socials, and we will see you next week.